Welcome to another F8 IT Solutions how-to guide. Today I'm going to show you how to secure your wireless network. I'm going to be using a Netgear DG834, quite popular between about 4 and 3 years ago, very popular with FreeServe, AOL, Sky and TalkTalk. And then I'm going to show you a D-Link 614, which is a little bit more niche because it's only for cable modems such as Virgin Media customers. Aim of this video is to show you how to create a secure wireless network. Little disclaimer first of all, some of you will have routers that are within maybe the last 3 years old, and your internet service provider will have done this work for you already. So this is only really applicable for people who aren't sure or are confident that they do not have a wireless security setup, or their neighbours are using their internet access. Or if you have a loved one who again, in the same boat. So first of all, let's try the Netgear. So first things first, we need to find out what the IP address is of the router so we can connect to it. So we're going to do command prompt, so that's start and CMD, or you can go to all programs and you can find the command prompt the old-fashioned way. Once you're in command prompt, you want to do ipconfig. That will tell us the IP address of all the connected networks. So through my Ethernet, I am connected to 192.168.0.1. So that is our router that we would connect through to the internet. So open up a browser. There we go, http://192. Okay. Now, the username and password, you won't be expected to know this already. Now, like I said, if you have your router provided by some internet service provider, they may already lock this down so you won't have access, and you'll need to call them. But chances are, if you're in that position, they've already enabled wireless security for you. So I guess this is only really applicable to those people who either want to change their wireless security or have no wireless security. First things first, turn your router upside down, see if the username and password has been printed on the bottom of it. They quite often do that just in case people factory reset it. Alternatively, visit a website called routerpasswords.com and gives a breakdown of nearly every router I've ever used, and it gives you the username and password of the router if you haven't changed it already. So in this one, I believe it's admin and password. Okay, so we're not going to go through the whole setup, that's not necessary. So we're going to go straight to the wireless settings. Okay, so we have the SSID. Now this is the name that your network broadcasts at. So for example, if you want it to be something that implies a company, so you might want to put your company name in there so that all people visiting you know to connect to your network if they are permitted to. In this case, we're just going to call it Test Wireless 1. This particular router requires that we state what region we're in for wireless. I think there's different laws in different countries. Channel number. Now this is a little trickier. This is just basically the number, the different channel frequency you want to connect your devices to the router with. Now, if you're living in an area that has a lot of houses with wireless nearby, they may all be using the same channel, in which case there'll be a lot of noise. So ideally, you want to choose a different channel. So remember that and come back to this if you find that your wireless drops out or you're getting a lot of issues with packet loss, where all of a sudden a page doesn't display and then it does display, things like that. Come in here and change the channel around. 6 and 11 are pretty popular. We're not going to mess about with any of these settings. We want to get straight down to the security. Okay, so security on here is disabled, which basically means if this router were connected to the internet and I had it set up at home, my neighbours would have free roam once of my internet access. There'd be absolutely nothing stopping them. They would see that it was called test-wireless 1, connect to it, no restrictions, straight on the internet. So we want to stop that, of course. Now you can set it up with WEP or you can set it up with WPA on this model. I always recommend WPA. It is a newer, more secure form of encryption and security, and also, rather advantageously, it lets you use a normal word as the password rather than something in hexadecimal code. So in this case, we're going to call it test wireless password, and we're going to apply that. Now, some of these routers I've found in the past you have to hit apply twice. That's just a bit of a Netgear issue. So we'll just see how the second time it's taken a lot longer. Okay, so we'll go back down to our wireless network and see if we can see the new one available. I need to refresh this. This can take a moment. If it doesn't happen immediately at this point, you can restart the Oh, there we go. You can restart the router. Now you'll notice here that we'll be moving on to the D-Link in a moment, but you notice that it doesn't have the little shield on here, which is Windows 7's way of saying this is an unsecured network. Make sure you know what you're doing. Test Wireless 1 now doesn't have that, and if we put our mouse over it, it does tell me that we're using a WPA PSK Wi-Fi encryption. So if we click on that and connect, it's going to challenge us for that password we just used a moment ago, which is test wireless password. Can't hide it, of course, if you've got somebody watching over your shoulder. And this is great, by the way, if you are giving this to, say, somebody who's visiting your business and you want to let them onto your wireless internet access, you want to hide the password at this point, type it in, and then let them connect. Never give it out to them. Always type a password in for somebody if it's private. That way you can change the password every so often without offending them or letting them know that you've changed it, thinking you didn't want them to have access. Just always be secure with these things. And that's pretty much it for the Netgear. So just going to let it connect. And what we're going to do now is as soon as this is finished, I'm going to disconnect the Netgear and I'll show you how that works on a D-Link router. I'm going to disconnect the Netgear and I'll show you how that works on a D-Link router. Okay, so let's try the same thing with the D-Link router. So I'm just going to disconnect from that wireless network, remove the Ethernet cable, and just switch that router off. Okay, so let's plug the Ethernet cable into the second router. Now, D-Link and Netgears, as it happens, they use the same IP addresses straight out the factory. But you will find sometimes different routers will have different default gateway addresses. So some units will be 1.1, for example, I think is Belkin's preference. So 192.168.1.1 will be the address when you get it straight from the factory. And again, you'll need to consult the manufacturer of the device or do a quick Google search on your model. It may also be written on the bottom of it, and it may also have changed since you got it. Somebody might have tinkered around and changed it. So the IP config trick works brilliantly. So just do that again real quick. So CMD IP config, and this time again we're connected to the gateways 0.1. So I'm just going to close this, start up again. And again, if you didn't know what the username and password is for your router, at this point you would need to go to routerpasswords.com. Hopefully you still have internet connection at this point. Otherwise you can always flip the router upside down, and I think these models, yeah, if you look under the bottom of them, they do have the vitals on the bottom. Both the Netgear and the D-Link do have the username and password on there. So this one's just admin and return. Okay, so a little bit of a different layout. We go into wireless setup. Go down to the bottom that we want to manually configure the wireless setup. Now the D-Link has a nice little feature, which I'll be honest with you, it's a great feature, but never really used, which is where you can have a predefined password that more contemporary machines can connect straight up using the Wi-Fi protected setup. Now we're going to opt out of that because I want to do it the old-fashioned way, which is compatible with pretty much all devices. So I'll script down to the bottom, enable wireless. We'll give this a name as well, test wireless. Whoops. 2. Again, this is so clever. Remember we were talking about before the Netgear that you can have different channels depending on how much channel noise is in your area, depending on who also has similar wireless devices. Well, this particular product lets you click a box where it'll automatically choose a channel with the least noise on it. So it's pretty cool with this particular D-Link. Transmission rate, again, automatic's fine. Now the bottom here, this is the all-important security. So we're going to choose WPA/WPA2. This particular device allows WPA2, which is an even more secure wireless encryption and is really the sort of the expected form of encryption that you would use nowadays. Again, we will let it auto decide between TKIP and AES. Some devices unfortunately won't be modern enough that they will allow AES. And then with the network key, again, we'll type in something that will be memorable. So in this case, I'm just going to go test wire, password, and we'll hit save. Oops, haven't spelled it properly. Okay, so save that. This particular product, I'm pretty confident does save first time. Just going to give it a moment and have a look at our wireless. Okay, so the D-Link is a lot quicker. It's restarting itself. So we'll connect to test wireless 2. Type in test wireless password, and that should let us on. So that's pretty much how to use wireless encryption and how to secure your wireless network with both a D-Link and a Netgear router. Now, there are circumstances, fairly rare, and hopefully you won't encounter them, where you'll find that if you're using the most contemporary form of wireless security, in this case WPA2, some older devices won't connect to it. So do be careful when you're doing this, that as soon as you've connected one laptop or handheld, don't assume that's everything set up and done. Sometimes you will need to go around your house, try your consoles, you'll fire up your Wii, your PS3, your Xbox, older laptops, things that are still quite important to get on there, and just make sure everything's fine. Otherwise, you may need to downgrade your wireless security so that it's still a degree of security from your neighbors, but still good, compatible with your older products as well. So that pretty much concludes the how-to. So if you have any questions, as always, please leave a comment below or contact us via email or through the Contact Us page. And I hope that you found this useful. Thank you very much for watching.